All right, hello. How are y'all doing out there? Let's get this thing going. What up, Katie Rogers? Don't mind me, Lacey. It's been a long day. Eligar Wines, what up? Solterra, everybody. This is great. Get some people up there. Today is going to be a great video. It's going to be fantastic. I'm super stoked for our guest of the week. Excuse me, my very long hair is just, it's wild today. I apologize for that. But very stoked. We're going to have Greg Brewer. We'll go into all the fawning of Greg Brewer once we get him on here. So I look forward to it, and man, it's gonna be good. What up, Dawson? We're gonna talk about some cool wines. We're diving more into this case that we were selling for World of Pinot Noir, and as you know, we're getting Greg on here, and that he's and this is gonna be great. I'm stoked. So. There he is. There's my boy.
EJ, look at that beard. Holy mackerel.
Listen, dude, I just realized this. We're like the opposite versions of each other right now. You're clean. And I am.
Dude, I'm impressed.
I know, man. I think it's part quarantine. It was harvest beard, and I'm just like, whatever, man.
That's a whole nother deal, dude. That's
Dude,
like...
I know. It ages me though. I look much older. I look older than you. You look hella young right now, man. Come on.
It's the lighting. The lighting.
How you doing, brother?
Good, man. It's great to see you. Thank you for having me,
dude. It's great to see you. It's been way too long. I think the last time we saw each other was actually probably whopping 2020.
Yeah.
So this is actually. Works. It's a little apropos, I guess.
It's like your beard's a time capsule.
yeah. I did bury some things in there.
Rescued at sea.
Yeah, exactly. I do look very sailor-esque.
No, I do.
Except when I get seasick. Well, man, it's good to have you on here, and like I said, I miss you. It's been a long time. I miss you immensely. I miss your lovely wife as well. But I'll be honest, I miss you more than her.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. No, you can tell her that too. You can tell her that. I don't care. I love you, Sonia, but I do miss Greg more. But dude, I mean, even though 2020 was a shitty year, I feel like you're having the best year 2020. I mean, dude, winemaker of the year. I mean, I love it. This is fantastic, dude. But so, like, what does that? I mean, dude, what does that mean to you? You've been in the game for a little bit, even though you look younger than me. What does that mean to you?
Here's the deal. Here's a little secret, Eric. Here's a secret, brother. Yeah. What happened was I took some Tally wine and I soaked off the labels, bro, and then I had extras here. And I just like, boom. So the award really belongs to you, to be totally honest.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it was cool. Roseberries and Rincon. Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah. I'll let Brian know that he can put that on all of our marketing materials now. That actually, it's Eric Johnson's the winemaker of the year. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Really, as you know, you're so kind, to reflect on, my tenure of doing this. And it's 30 years for me now in Santa Barbara, and the important thing about that is I'm still standing, which is I had some close calls for sure on the road many times with you in Mississippi or
we're getting some things,
but really, I'm a product of this place. I mean, you know that. I knew nothing about wine when I got a job at the Santa Barbara winery. I didn't know Chardonnay was a grape. It was a part-time job to like drink free wine and like eat free crackers, which is solid.
Dude,
and so really I've been raised by this place, I've been, and, in no uncertain terms, Bruce, of course, at Santa Barbara, everybody else around me, Woodcraft, Chris Woodcraft, who's since left us, huge inspiration. Tally was a huge inspiration. All those heroes. I mean, the Tally family, Clendenin, Bob Lindquist, Brian Babcock. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So being raised by that community, I really the awards for all of us. You know what I mean? Because I was created by us. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I really celebrate it for Santa Barbara. I'll pull you in. Central Coast. Yeah, AG is like Northern Santa Barbara.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Northern Santa Barbara, the AG. We would probably be able to sell our wine for more money if that was the case. So.
But I'm very flattered. It was a big surprise, and it was very touching and flattering. So I'm excited, because it's affording me, the responsibility I cherish and I don't take lightly, and it's affording me a platform now, for a while anyway, to broadcast the message of this area, around the world, to maybe people that might not have, been as aware of it before. So from that ambassadorial standpoint, it's really important to me, and I'm excited about it, and I don't take it lightly. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny because that's what I was thinking before you even said it. Is you've always been an ambassador of Santa Rita Hills, and Santa Barbara County in general. You've gone you've dipped your toe into all different areas besides Santa Rita Hills, and so it's awesome, man. And I'm not gonna I know you don't want to be thrown praise this whole time, and I won't do it anymore. But it's very much deserved, and I think someone that, I mean, like you said, dude, you grew up like in the wine industry, like
right.
from there, and like you literally work. I mean, from being working the front of the house, at a restaurant, to this, and it's amazing. I love it. It's inspiring. I mean, you're great.
Thank you, man. But you know what? I just thought of it. I just saw your beautiful wife chime in. I saw her pop up on the screen.
Oh.
That was cool. I got a little flushed.
Yeah, I mean, she does that to all of us.
Yeah, I miss her more than you, by the way. So
yeah, I know. I understand.
But yeah. But one thing I've been thinking about, much like you in this area, and certainly with the Talley family, I think when you really, and I was prompted seeing her name come up, when you really devote yourself to someone and you commit to someone, you can be really, you surrender to that person. You don't erase yourself, but you can surrender. You have confidence. You can be vulnerable. You can be naked. You can be raw. I mean, you give in. And I think I've been really reflective of that in the past, 10 years, 5, 10, 15 years in this neighborhood, because, this Highway 246 is like all I know. Like, I've never worked outside of the county. I never will. I mean, I love other areas. I love your area, Sonoma Coast, New Zealand, France, wherever. It's great. And I'm here. I'm very provincial that way. And I think when you kind of give in and you're not looking elsewhere, you kind of get in the rhythm of something, just like with a significant other. You come home and you don't have to ask the other, how is your day today? You can just tell by like body language and
totally.
Everything. And that's how things work here. It's this very vulnerable upbringing of the wines. It's very stripped away. It's very stark. It's very elementary and primitive. And I've really, that state has really resonated with me a lot, kind of increasingly in the past decade. So it's such a beautiful spot. I mean, we're all so where we are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And dude, you're like reading my mind on things that I was going to talk to you about. I mean, I love the fact, I mean, you've done all sorts of different things. I mean, it's funny. I'm sure you tune into Kobe and I are Thirsty Thursdays, but so we had Diatom, for instance, the other day, and I've tasted, from Melville to Brewer, Melville, Brewer Clifton, Diatom, and some other things. And I always feel like there's always, with your wines, there's like this soul into it, this essence of soul in it. And I just dig it. And what's funny is I opened a bunch of Brewer Cliftons today at the winery at Tally, 13s, which, I mean, 13 vintages, insane.
Yeah, exuberant, powerful, and fun. And
but they're amazing, because I think 13s, yeah. I mean, sure, yeah, but they've got the texture that it has with that power. It evens it out. Like And you know, we won't go into alcohol, but it's balance. The whole thing is balance. And what we were just, you know, talking about, I mean, I jammed home to make sure, you know, a 20-minute prep, I can do it in 20-minute prep, right? But tasting through multiple of those 13s, and it always kind of comes back. I remember doing that library tasting with you. Geez, that must have been 5 years ago. I can't remember. I'm gonna say 5 years ago, and seeing how well these Brewer Clifton wines age, and it's I think we've talked about this before. I think that a lot of people, first glance, they don't think it's going to age, right? And it ages.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's funny, we never set out, when we started this project 25 years ago, you know, we never set out to like render wines that would age forever. Scott joined us. Hey, brother. I never, you know, that wasn't the goal necessarily. The goal was to raise everything in a very neutral setting, very stripped away, and most importantly, to raise all these sites the same, right, without any bias or prejudice. Very like YMCA sport, like everyone's a winner,
Right.
all the things. Because who are we to be a judge or arbiter of anything? It's all about this kind of equal opportunity thing. And minimalism, yeah, and that's something that I, you know, picked up early on in those really formative years from Chris Woodcraft and Burt Williams, and you know, tanks that are off the ground 5 feet to use gravity, and short hose transit, and not pulling barrel samples because every touch is going to potentially take something away.
Yeah.
And so the result, I think the wines, you know, sure, they're aided by, you know, great vineyards and clones and great wine, but you know, alcohol helps, right? Kind of elevated alcohols, I think, kind of helps to preserve, to be honest, and high acid wine. But like from a, you know, they're also like they're never moved around, and sometimes I think of them in terms of a flower, right? So if you just picked a flower and brought it home to your, you know, beautiful wife and said, oh, hey, here's this flower, I would argue that flower bud's going to be very tight. It's not going to be jostled around. Like it's kind of in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think the trajectory of it kind of unveiling itself to you will be slower, yeah, because it hasn't been assembled. It hasn't been like, oh, here's some baby's breath, here's a fern, here's a ribbon, here's some cellophane, here's a I love you sticker, whatever. And I think as a result, they go in a very kind of raw, you know, kind of cloistered state. And I think as a result, they have opportunity to do their thing. And I think, you know, certainly everyone who's listening in now is like into wine, and that's awesome. But all of us, I'm sure, have had experiences with wines where, you know, you open them up and you're like, oh, that's cool. You know, a young one, you're like, oh, that's cool. And then, you know, you go back the next day and you're like, whoa, like,
yeah,
genie in a bottle stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing. And I've always been really excited by wines like that. It's fun because you get like different chapters out of them, you know, much like the flower. It's like at what stage, if you get more stages out of it, it's almost like you're getting a lot of flowers. You know what I mean? Not to sound too cheesy, but that's nice.
Totally. No, I mean, it's actually interesting because is a flower's beauty at full bloom? Like, I don't know. I mean, it could be, some flowers look more beautiful at like right when it starts blooming, you know? And I mean, how is it that you enjoy that flower?
Yeah, and that's for sure, dude, no doubt. And that's what I always say when, just like you know, you're fielded the question a zillion times a day, like, when should I drink this? When is it at its best? When should I? This weird question, kind of like, I don't want to do the wrong thing vibe, which is like embedded in wine for whatever reason. And my comeback, you know, if I've got the time, just like you just said, you know, I use, you know, a book, like chapters in a book or a flower kind of thing, because like the anticipation is beautiful, right? Like, you know, when at the very, very beginning, you don't see anything. You're like, oh my gosh, like what's in that?
Right.
You know, it's boiled up like a spring. You're like, what's in that? And then, you know, along the way, there's evolution. And even right at the precipice, when things are kind of getting weird and petals are falling and it's, you know, about time to kind of let them go on, that's beautiful too, right? Kind of that end of life, you know, there's something really neat about that. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's funny. In my geeky winemaker thing, question, which I'm sure a lot of people don't care about, but I do. You talked about lack of movement, and are you talking about when you put your wine to barrel? We'll just say Pinot Noir, since we're going to talk about the Machado in a little bit. I mean, are you not moving that until bottling?
No, in fact, we rarely even taste it. We'll taste it like once, you know, so it's in fermenters for a super long time, about 45 days, which is pretty lengthy. And then, and then we just press, you know, right there.
Yep.
then it goes right to barrel. It doesn't even hit those tanks. It just goes right to barrel. And the barrels we use are between 15 and 25 years old. So really, really old wood that have been with us from the beginning.
The whole time, yeah.
Yeah, and there's something that resonates there too. I think much like a musician that plays the same guitar that he or she bought in high school, like saving up money, like babysitting the neighbor's kids or washing cars. Like even if the pickup doesn't work and the strap falls off and it goes out of tune, like there's a connection, there's intimacy with that instrument. And so, these older barrels, like they have history. I mean, they held the wines that you had today. They held wines like from your birth year, basically. You know what I mean? They're like
1991, baby.
Close, man. God, not far. And so anyway, and then they just go to barrel like on the lees, and they're not really moved. And then before they get bottled, they come up and get cleaned up a bit, and off they go. But it's all about kind of the goal, I guess, to be relevant and to be raw and vulnerable. And I think in life and society these days, like there's an easy tendency to overdo things, right? I mean, certainly in our line of work, you can make wine out of Zen tea, whatever. I mean, you can really tweak it and do stuff, Photoshop, auto tuning. I mean, there's a way to polish and make things young. Wines have never been better, and there's a risk of them being homogenous, I think, because the more techniques are shared, there's a risk of that. The quality goes up for sure, but then they kind of start, like cars all kind of look the same, small SUVs all kind of look the same. And so with this, it's always been about like, okay, let's find a weird little sliver of growing area that wasn't super, super well known.
Yeah.
But didn't have an appellation yet.
Yeah.
And do like whole cluster Pinot. Let's go neutral low. And it's all just been, it's not for everybody, but it's very specifically us.
Yeah.
I'm proud we've maintained that line, for these 25 years.
No, I love it. I love that whole, I mean, that's really, I mean, you have we've had some interesting talks at the Bacara during World of Pinot Noir about you were yelling at me, why are you starting in Albert? And we talk about this a lot, and it's funny because how I ended up doing is like wines that I wanted to do and what I wanted to be and things that I wanted to express through conversations with you. And it all actually revolves around that. I mean, it's not touching it. It's letting it do its thing. It's lack of manipulation. It's just kind of letting it, like I said, be its own thing. We pick certain vineyards and But I'm not going into Ann Albert, but I agree so much with that. And I brought a lot of that into Tally wines. We've been making Tally wines for a long time. They were very successful way before me, but really, I believe a lot in the lack of movement and lack of tasting and the things that you are spouting. I think it's just you're ringing my bells, man, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you. But when I was still in the French lit world, which wasn't long lived, I dropped out of the master's program to do something. But while I was still doing that, the field of study that piqued my interest the most was letter exchange. And I always loved it. Even, as a kid, I think it started, having a crush on a girl in fourth grade or whatever, and writing passing notes in class, or, my folks divorced when I was pretty young, and I'd go back to dad on the East Coast, and, there'd be like someone back at home in fourth grade that, we were like boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and writing letters. And the reason why I'm sharing that is that I think that same mindset is applied to how we do wines, right? So when you're writing a letter, even a text message, it's faster now, but it's the same concept. You're sharing, you're vulnerable. You're sharing an emotion to someone. Like you're telling someone how you feel, or you're kind of opening up to someone, and you can't control the outcome of their response, right? You can be hopeful. You might have an expectation, cross your fingers. Oh gosh, are they going to say, oh my God, I feel the same way, or thanks, let's just be friends, or whatever it is. And that's kind of how we see the wines. Like we're super committed to this place. We planted the vineyards with this intent in mind, and here we are. We do the very best we can, but then, we're clean. It's very, it's very clinical, very disciplined ritual.
It is very clean there. I've been there. It is very clean.
Like, oh, that's like 32 degrees behind me. So
I love it.
But like we're not going to alter that outcome, right? We do our best to kind of give into it, but then once it goes down to barrel, it's like, well, that's it. that's like literally like you drop the envelope in the mailbox and you're like, okay, well, whatever comes back is up to that.
Yeah,
We back, but what are we going to do? We're not going to change what that person writes back to you. That's how I see it.
no, that's a great way to look at it. I mean, you're doing the work up front, and then it flows from that, and you just have to accept that you did the work up front, and so it comes to your bottom, I guess, bottle of wine.
Right.
Bottle of wine. I do have that. I've got a little Hopgood, excuse me, 13 just here. Just yeah, I mean, I can't not have some BC wine with you. So
thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's delicious.
Oh,
I don't think I can cuss on here, but I would. I would. But this kind of brings me into Wappin, though, and since we are doing some World of Pinot Noir stuff, yeah. And honestly, Greg, I don't know why they want me doing this, but you know what? This works. This works.
The rule. I love it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you've done a ton of Wappins. Like, what? I mean, like, do you remember your first Wappin or anything? Like,
I do for sure.
Do you? Yeah. I mean, that was probably. I mean, obviously Shell Beach time. I imagine, not to age you, but
99 or 2000. What year was that? 01. 01. Yeah, I totally do. Because I remember
2000.
Because Brewer Clifton's first vintage was 96. So, we'd been in the game for a little bit. And then it was kind of like a coming out party for Melville in a certain way, because we started that in 99. Well, 99 was our first harvest.
Yeah, that's right.
So that was new and no one had really heard of that much. And then, Brewer Clifton, and then the program in and of itself was so nascent and beautiful and, just I mean, the fact that was all initiated and with Brian's, kind of and everything else is just, we're all so grateful. I'm so grateful to assemble something like that. Talk about vision and going for it. And it's really it's been so cool to see it not only grow, but endure, and things like this. It's really hard because someone's got to really go for it and have the stamina to keep things like that up because it's not easy. And there are times when, different people's agendas or expectations, and it can be a hassle. I'm not gonna, assembling something like this, and the fact that it's gone on, and the committees, and you, and everyone is really.
I mean, yeah, it's like winemakers like herding cats. It's like it's ridiculous, But the people that put it on throughout the years from then and now. I mean, they managed to do it. I'm a lowly winemaker, so I'm one of the cats, I guess. But no, that's rad. I mean, I always forget that, like, I'm part of the winery that started it, kind of a thing. Brian did was one of the starting people, but I just wish I could be part of those early years. I feel like you guys probably had some good times. Jim Clendenin and, ooh, man, I bet it was fun. I mean, you had DRC back then. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you could get DRC to show up and people like that. And I think that's just super rad.
Yeah, no, it's always, it was always a beautiful thing. And yeah, and just anything that's new, and what a beautiful gift we all have too, right? Because there was, for Wappin, there was, those like, heroes of the Pinot world, globally that would come and they were into it and they kind of gave it their all and, best foot forward. And that was exciting and it elevated the whole trip. And something else that I've been thinking about, I guess I've been really sentimental and nostalgic. Yeah, I think all of last year, a lot of us have just had time to kind of reflect on stuff.
We have nothing better to do, Greg.
And so grow a beard.
Yeah. Why didn't you grow a beard?
Yeah,
I
shave myself like all day long, and you just let it all grow.
Yeah, I think you could look great, hairy, man. I don't want to be the antithesis of Greg Brewer. Like, that's not what I want in life, man.
But what's so exciting about Wappin and our areas in general, is that all of the people that were the pioneers, right? The ones in those exciting times pre-Wappin. I mean, we're talking, Richard Sanford and everybody else, totally. Like, still in the game. You know what I mean? And what a gift that we all have right now, because, there are people that were planting here 50 years ago, right? That are still in it. It's not like, oh yeah, so-and-so, and I think they're still in town. I mean, they're like in it.
They're here.
Brander, Babcock, Jim, Adam Tomac. I mean, it's like relevant as ever. And it's funny, I'm no spring chicken. And at the same time, like, I came into it and I was 21 years old and they were like I'd read about them in magazines. You know what
Right.
I mean? And they're still like right here. And
Yeah.
there's so much to learn from that and so much inspiration to get from that. And then, them pouring it, tasting. I don't know, it's just, I don't know. It's a really cool time. And I think much like, I don't want to go back to the flower thing, and I don't want to imply like, they're at the end of that thing, but a certain career, I mean, careers have a certain span, you know what I mean? And so for some of those, they might be nearing the end of their professional career anyway. Um, and that's kind of it, and that's kind of a beauty. There's such beauty in that too, because without those people, you and I wouldn't be talking right now.
No, totally.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. And you know what's great about our industry is I feel like if you make great wine, you don't retire early for the most part. You know what I mean? Like you're able to keep it going for quite some time. Now maybe that changes. I don't know, but I mean, I hope it doesn't change.
Yeah, if you and I started really lame wine, we would end up retiring pretty quickly.
Yeah, I retired. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just decided to hang it up after that all went sour.
Yeah, that 78 point wine I got, I decided I should retire now.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, let's talk about the wine that's in this sweet case, which I'll go over again for people that buy a case of wine. It is 12 different bottles of wine. In January, you got a couple more days left. What's that?
That's some good math.
Yeah.
Brian hired well, dude.
Yeah, I know. Case, 12 bottles. But hey, January $500. You go to February, it's $600, but it's over $800 with a wine. We have some Tally wine in there. We have some Trebetta. We have some Burgundy, some Yarra Valley stuff. But we have some Brewer Clifton Pinot Noir. So Machado.
Relabeled Tally, actually. That's
relabeled Tally wine.
All familiar to the ring, but surprised.
Yeah, hey, as long as you're buying it from Tally and reselling it, I don't care, dude. It's all good. You're getting 2 bottles of Tally then, I guess, It's all good for me. But what's funny is I've always loved Machado because that's my grandma's maiden name. It's a Portuguese name, I mean, that at least that's how I know it, right? And so I've always loved the Machado, or how do you say it?
Machado, yeah, and it's Machado. And here, too, talking about legacy. So we planted this vineyard in '08, knowing it was going to be a predominantly Pinot Noir site. There's a teeny sliver of Chardonnay, but it's mostly Pinot. And we lease these 15 acres of land. We planted the vineyard, we own the vineyard, but we leased the land from the Machado family. And they came to our area in 1917, right? So over 100 years ago, Portuguese origin, like your grandmother, and row crops and beans and cattle and all kinds of ag, and beautifully kind family. And I've had the opportunity to work with many of them in different tasting rooms and different incarnations up and down the highway. And they entrust us with their land, and they entrust us with their family name. And that's something that's so meaningful to me. And here too, talking about responsibility and furthering someone else's legacy. I mean, that really,
right.
It's just such a beautiful thing to do, right? So I think about, I've referenced Rosemary's a couple of times, but when you have a family business and, Tally's on the label, it's very, very important carrying that. And that's one thing. But it's your family, right? So if, that's like your own family's decision, that's fine. And then, the celebrating, Rosemary, that's awesome. It's also remained in the family, which is beautiful. And in this case, right, here's some kid from LA, right? Clifton and myself.
Yeah.
And to be entrusted with this beautiful, rural, Lompoc, ag, Portuguese descent family's legacy is very, very important, and I love. And it's just just a beautiful thing to kind of carry forward, and I love that they trust us, and they call it our vineyard and all that. And I'm always like, well, it's actually kind of yours. And,
yeah.
But I love the back and forth, like they send photos sometimes, like during cool sunsets and like the fog coming in, like from their houses, and then I'll be out doing wine dinners or whatever, or, get some scores, whatever it is, and take pictures of the menu and send it back, and it all fuels itself. contributes to the same energy and intent behind the outcome of the wine, you know, and I think that's really special. I love that.
Yeah, and like I said, I've always loved that wine. I had the 13 today, but I drank it all. Or I didn't drink it all. Like, uh, it would be it'd be a different Instagram live, I think, if I did it all. But you know, it's delicious. Like I said, I've always loved it. All those wines that you have made have been, you know, it was funny because I had the 459 today. Like I said, I have the Hapgood right now, and
Hey,
yeah, I went through 13 Greg Brewer. I don't know. I love 13 as a vintage. So I just think it's everyone's hyping up 12. I think 13's way better personally. That's just me because I think it's more balanced. But and then go into what I'm drinking. But I think that, you know, for people buying this case and stuff and having this wine in there, it's awesome. And second to last time, it's people out there, you're talking about the winemaker of the fucking year. Oops, I did it. I'm sorry. The winemaker of the year. So it is awesome. And I guess we there is one more wine in there that I should talk about, which you actually might know a little bit about. I mean, do you have any interaction with the Grand Moraine wines?
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I mean, those wines are delicious.
So cool. Yeah, Shane, the entire staff up in Oregon.
Yeah, Shane.
Shane Moore's great. Eugenia King. I mean, the whole team up there. Ken Cooperman, the vineyard manager. It's an amazing squad. Yeah, and Shane's wines are super like detailed and very, very precise, and they're so lucid, like where they're from. Yeah, so that's. I mean, I can't say enough about that too. It's great.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. We're gonna have the 18 Yamhill Carlton in the case as well. So you're just adding more awesome wines out there. I love Shane. Shane's awesome. I've had those wines a ton. They've been big Wappen supporters for anybody out there that've been a Wappen before. Delicious. So you know, we got two more wines here. Got Greg Brewer, the best. Yeah, I mean, people go and buy this case. I mean, what else are we doing? So do it. Wappen.com, I guess. worldofpinotnoir.com. So, Greg, I love you. It's
I
been
love you, brother.
fantastic to see you and to chat. You know, not just text, but face. This is great. This is fantastic. So I hope to see you soon, man. As soon as I'm all vaccinated, I'm going to come and hug you, dude. I'm getting up in that. All right.
Very much in that beard.
Yeah.
Love
all
you.
right, man. I love you. Have a great night. Tell Sonia we said hello.
I will. Bye,
All right.
brother.
See you, buddy. Later.